In this video, we're going to be talking about the various points that are on this curve. So essentially, this is a curve that has the marginal cost, the average total cost, and the average variable cost on a graph. And there are marginal revenue curves of revenue lines that are at different horizontals that intersect, and each of these points, they represent a point of a business stage that you are in, and you need to know what the meaning of each of these business stage points are. So at point E, this is above the ATC. So this is above the ATC, and this means that the firm is currently covering all costs and has extra revenue. This is positive economic profit. Now for D, this is your point where you are at the minimum ATC. This is your break-even point. And at this point you earn 0 economic profit. When you're at point C, you are above the ATC. You're above the AVC, but you're below the ATC. So your firm covers variable costs, but not total costs. So at this point, the firm continues to produce in the short run, but are currently earning at a loss. Now point B, this is when your price is equal to your AVC, and that's your shutdown point. At this location, the firm is indifferent between producing and shutting down, because it just covers your variable costs. Now, finally, when you're at point A, you are fully below the AVC. So now, when your firm produces anything at all, it cannot cover those variable costs. So what happens is the firm will shut down in the short run and have 0 outputs, produce 0 output. So let's move on to another idea. Let's move on to looking at the short run and the long run effects of an increase in demand. So what happens is a firm begins in long run equilibrium, but then an increase in demand is going to raise the price, leading to short-run profits for the firm. So then what we see is that over time, the profits induce entry of other firms. And this might not be intuitive, like the whole entire shifting the supply to the right, and it's not intuitive like immediately. If it's not intuitive to you immediately, like the best thing you can do is just draw it out, because that always helps, and you can visually see that. So driving profits to zero, and restoring long run equilibrium. So in this curve, you have profit that is right here. So here exit eliminates losses. So we can see in the single firm, you have your marginal cost curve, your ATC, and your MR. So your ATC is going to intersect your MC at the minimum. That is the minimum of your ATC. That's when your MC intersects, and your MR is going to shift up and down. And in your industry curve over here, you have a vertical squiggly line at 80,000 at a fixed quantity, and then over here you have supply 1 and supply 3. You have demand 1 and demand 3, and you can see that this is going to be a line where they kind of transfer over like this. You can see that you have to draw these are side by side graphs, so you need to draw them next to each other in order to see the connection between the two, the single firm and the industry. So a decrease in demand temporarily lowers the price. A lower price drives away some competitors, and decreased supply returns the price to equilibrium. So what we see is that if your demand decreases, that means your price is going to decrease. And what that means is that the firms earn losses. What that means is that P is less than ATC, and some firms exit the market long run. When they exit, what that does is the supply of the market supply, it goes to the left, and when the price rises back to your ATC, your losses are eliminated and your profit equals 0. Now let's move on to long run supply curve. So in your constant cost industry, your exit and entry doesn't change your input prices. Your ATC stays the same. Your long run supply is perfectly elastic. aka it is horizontal, your demand changes, your Q changes, but your P, it stays constant. So what you see is that your price in this graph, it returns to the same level no matter your demand shift. Now, in this increasing cost industry, these are both long-run supply. We can see that entry increases demand for inputs. So then your input prices rise. Your ATC shifts up. Your long run supply is upward sloping. When your demand increases, both your price increases and also your quantity increases in the long run. So price increases here. What we see here is long run due to higher costs. Now here we see productive efficiency versus allocative efficiency. So we have a single firm and a market comparison again here. So in our single firm, we have our marginal cost and our ATC. We see that intersection of the two is at the minimum point of that ATC. And we can see that the price at this black point right there is equal to the marginal cost, and that is your minimum ATC. And we call this the normal profit point. And here we see the market. So we see the supply is curved and the demand is linear. We see that point and we see that quantity. So productive efficiency is when your price is equal to the minimum ATC, and your allocative efficiency is when your price is equal to the MC. So your competition will have both in long run. We have that same thing up there, so I'm just gonna leave this here. So to elaborate on what these two mean, let's add some details. Productive efficiency is the lowest cost production you can achieve. Allocative efficiency is your optimal resource allocation. Perfect competition is going to achieve both of them in the long run. And what it does is it maximizes total surplus. What that means is you have no dead weight loss. When you have perfect competition, aka peer, that is when you have full efficiency. Now, for our long run equilibrium, here we see that when P is equal to MR equals MC, that is R equals to MR is equal to MC, that is your minimum ATC. Normal profit means that you have zero economic profit. So what that means is you are at a vision scale, and also your market is stable. And what that means is there is no incentive for entry or exit. So essentially everybody's just gonna stay.